Welcome to Biography Central. You are listening to Life of Sri Ramakrishna, a complete biography. Chapter 6, Breadwinning Education. Gadadhar began to assist Ramkumar in his daily work. In the toll, Ramkumar taught astrology and Hindu law. The income from the school was not much. He could ill afford to forego the money derived from officiating as family priest, little time as he had for it. When Gadadhar came to Calcutta, he was therefore entrusted with the duties of the priest, which he was glad to discharge. In a short time, he made his influence felt in the families he visited. The heads of these families, particularly the women, found a striking contrast in his behavior to that of his predecessors. Instead of hurrying through his work, he would perform it with great diligence and conspicuous devotion. His honesty, rectitude, devotion, and purity of heart impressed all who came in contact with him. He would pass hours in these families, either singing by request his favorite songs or rendering little services. The simplicity and integrity of his character removed all barriers to free association with them. Here too he soon formed a circle of friends and admirers, all belonging to respectable families, like that of the late Raja Digumbar Mitter, in whose company he delighted to spend his time. Hence, he did not have much leisure for his studies, and Ramkumar found that one of the objects in having the boy with him was not being realized. For the first few months, he gave the boy liberty, for he knew he was unaccustomed to any repression. In his native village, he used to roam at will and do whatever he liked. Now he was in new surroundings and amongst strange faces, and Ramkumar thought it best to be indulgent until his old friends and associations of Kamarpukar were forgotten. So he allowed him to enjoy the new friends so that he might forget the sorrow of separation from the old. But when, after some months, Gadadhar still showed no interest in his studies, Ramkumar thought it unwise to countenance any further laxity. The fortunes of the once prosperous Chatterjee family were fast dwindling. It was necessary that Gadadhar become independent and add to the family income as well. Rameshwar, though a man of attainments, was not a moneymaker. Gadadhar's behavior did not warrant the hope that he would be any better. On the contrary, he manifested a complete indifference to worldly matters. One day, Ramkumar took the boy aside and admonished him for his apathy towards education and his general indifference. "Brother, what shall I do with a mere breadwinning education?" was the spirited reply of the boy. "I would rather acquire that wisdom which will illumine my heart, and getting which, one is satisfied forever." Ramkumar did not realize the full import of this laconic answer, for he was ignorant of the inner psychology of this wonderful, precocious boy. Gadadhar looked at the world with a different eye. His brother's experience had somewhat reconciled him to selfishness of the world. At home, Gadadhar saw that the aim and purpose of average humanity was towards the senses. Things seemed no different to him in Calcutta. A few months' stay in this city showed him clearly the drift of the people's minds as well as their motives. They were running after the transitory pleasures of the world and dying for name and fame. Enjoyment and the survival of the fittest were the watchwords of the day, and this precious human life was being wasted. God, spirituality, and religion were so many words, the import of which had long been forgotten, and the holy books were the legacy of a superstitious ancestry, not worth the paper on which they were written. The education which Gadadhar was receiving tended in the same direction. Obviously, it could not satisfy his mind, in which, in the midst of all his daily occupations, the idea was always uppermost, that life had a deeper meaning. He realized more and more that he was born for purposes different from those of the ordinary run of men, that he must lead a life commensurate with those purposes. He asked himself, "Shall I obtain piety, devotion, and divine fervor by pursuing this education?" "No," was the emphatic reply. "Will it enable me to be as God-loving and upright as my father?" "No," the reply echoed from his heart. "Shall I be able to realize God and escape from universal ignorance and clinging to the senses?" Again, a negative answer. "Then what shall I do with this education which cannot help me to see God or to transcend the miseries of the world?" I would rather remain ignorant all my life than throw away my cherished ideals by not following the path to God, was the conclusion the boy reached. Bread and butter could not be the object of human life. They did not help towards release from disease, infirmity, and death. So the boy longed to acquire that wisdom which would take him across this ocean of life and death. In vain did he look for illumination in the pile of books in his brother's room, or in the scholars of the day. Nothing but impervious darkness greeted his eyes. They could not show him the way to reach the goal. So, without a moment's hesitation, he gave that reply to his brother's gentle reprimand. Ramkumar could scarcely believe his ears and was puzzled to know what to do. In vain did he try to convince the boy of the utility of learning, painting in glowing colors its bright prospects and the easy and happy life of the educated man of the city. These arguments made no appeal to Gadadhar's reason, nor did they cause him to budge from his position. Ramkumar had to give way for the time being. 2 years rolled on. Ramkumar's financial condition, instead of improving, became worse. He found that sooner or later he would have to incur debts which he had no prospects of repaying. The hereditary profession of priesthood and teaching was not very lucrative, but knowing nothing else, he had to cling to it. But he surrendered himself to the will of Raghuveer and let himself drift along the current of events, as he found it futile to struggle against it. When matters were approaching a climax, a new event, with far-reaching consequences in the life of young Gadadhar, coming from a most unexpected quarter, gave him fresh courage. I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.